Alright guys, hi. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I'm not gonna lie, my weekend was pretty okay to say the least. Today I got clapped, bro. I got clapped so bad. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kinda liking on my executions now. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's time I actually like properly collect data on my stop losses. Not my executions. My execution was pretty okay for my second trade. I got clapped in both trades, I'm not gonna lie. My stop loss needs work. Not my executions. My stop loss needs work because my executions are perfectly fine. It's my stop loss that I'm not going to lie. These trades, well, the first trade I took was kind of sort of dumb, to be honest, and I'll explain why. The second trade I took, really valid. It was just the fact that that I, bro, hello, that my stop loss positioning was just weak. So let's talk about it. This is so bad. Damn. Executions are on. I'm not gonna lie. Today was definitely I was not in my flow, to be completely honest. But I'm not gonna cope and just give excuses about me not being in my flow, cause that's just like that's bitch shit, right? I'm not gonna cope, bro. I'm just be like, yeah, I'm gonna own it, cause at the end of the day, bro, it's part of the game. As unfortunate as it sounds, it is part of the game. And yeah. So let's talk about the first trade how I took and how the first trade honestly just a was just such a flop, and how I missed it on Nasdaq. So coming into the day, honestly, we had a high time from SMT because we ended up taking out previous day lows, and we did not on ES. I mean, we did on Nasdaq. Well, we did not on Nasdaq. We created this high time from SMT, but we did on ES. So originally from that, I was coming in and I wanted all-time highs taken for today. Like that was my long-term draw. I wanted all-time highs today. Obviously, it was a no news Monday, and we also have CPI tomorrow, so it was kind of a hit or miss of wanting all-time highs to be taken. But with the way we created that high time from SMT, literally like how we did last week with the high time from SMT, um, we just keep on. It's literally like a bull run after that. Especially I've noticed for bullish SMTs. Bearish SMTs are kind of hit or misses on the high time frame, but with high time frame and we take out which we call it, and we take out periods day lows to create a bullish S&T, those are usually like high probability to play out, is what I've seen so far. So coming into today, I obviously wanted a New York continuation because we did have our London session reversal, so I wanted a New York session continuation. However, I was open to trade the manipulation and I was open to trade the obvious continuation, and I messed up on both parts. So coming into today, I was obviously long-term bullish. Like I said, I want all-time highs to be taken again or just hit. Honestly, we also had an unfilled gap that was here that was honestly free money, and coming in the price. I mean, not gonna coming in the price, but coming into market open. Market open was actually pretty clean as well. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit choppy, but on the 5 minute and 1 minute, it was honestly pretty clean price action to the top of the new week opening gap. That's something I also forgot to mention. We also had the new week opening gap. My predicaments, not predicaments, my plans for this was I wanted price to either, honestly, my first example, I wanted price to come down, manipulate, create as an SMT from London session lows, and then from there we'll get the continuation up, or we manipulate into the high time frame gap, and then from there we get an SMT, and then we continue lower, and then from there I'll be fine to trade that. And that is exactly what we did off pre-market rip. We ended up coming up super high, and the market open. We ended up coming into the 5 minute gap. From there, we ended up creating a 5 minute SMT. So like I said, I was willing to trade the manipulation. I fucked up on the manipulation part. I'm not going to lie, and this is honestly so like super bad by me. I'm not gonna lie. I usually don't fuck this up, but you know, it's part of the game sometimes, man. It really is part of the game, which hurts, but it's okay because I'm gonna start to data collect more on my computer. Um, since I write like all my emotions on paper, I want to start to like take screenshots of the trade and just data collect that more as well. So we created an SMT from that, a 5 minute SMT. Boom. I was like, okay, bet. Let's go into the 1 minute. Let's see what we had. We had a 1 minute change in the state right here. But let me tell you where I fucked up on. Let me tell you guys where I fucked up on, because this was kind of this was pretty This was pretty sad. I'm not going to lie. So we created the 5 minute SMT. ES, I don't know what the fuck ES was doing. I'm not going to lie. We ended up invalidating this gap, and then from there we ended up creating another change in the state of direction. But from there, by the time we already created the change in state of direction, Nasdaq was already close to hitting unintentional lows. You guys already know what comes next. After we created this change in the state, I wanted to see this gap get filled. But I'm not going to lie. As of recently, yeah, when the gap gets filled, that's super high probability. But as of recently, I've been noticing I am trading way, 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 way too mechanical, like really mechanical, and I need to stop that and become less mechanical and more discretional. Like, yeah, I'm a discretional trader, but I've noticed a lot recently. I'm trading a lot of things like so mechanical. Like, I have one thing, I wait for another thing to come on, I wait for another thing, which is good if you're a discretional trader. But what I'm noticing is that I want everything to the tick of the bone, and when I get everything to the tick of the bone, I win. But I shouldn't be trading so mechanically. Like, if I get everything to the tick of the bone and I miss one confluence, but I already have five more confluences telling me, and I just miss one, that's still okay. That's what I've been noticing recently. So it's honestly just a bunch of this like self criticism that I just been like peeping through myself, trying to get better with trading, and I'm like, okay, um, obviously, I know that I'm trading this way too mechanically, and I should be way more discretionally. But what I mean way more discretionally, I just mean like, say for example, we had the high time, we had the 5 minute SMT put in. So boom, that's one confluence. We had our change of the state, that's another confluence. We ended up having our inversion gap, that's three confluences. Excuse me. So we have our gap, inversion gap, change of the state, and the SMT. So that's four confluences, and the only thing I'm just waiting for is the fifth one, which is to be the gap fill or the breaker block. But I already have four confluences telling me to go short. If I miss one or two, high probable chance that it's still gonna play out because, like I said, I have four confluences telling me. You know what I mean? Like, that's something I've noticed a lot, and I think today it really dialed in with the fact that I was like, okay, wow, I'm trading way too mechanically, and I missed a really good setup because I told myself I was willing to go short and I was willing to go long today. It was just a matter of which presented itself first with a really optimal setup. And it's unfortunate that I had to learn this with taking a loss, but I mean, like, that's the only way I could fucking learn it. You know what I mean by taking a loss. So it's part of the game. It's literally part of the game. Anyways, first trade I missed. We had a change in the state. We also had this gap. I wanted this gap. I wanted to see this gap get ran through. Not ran through. I wanted to see this gap get this gap or BPR, whatever you want to call this. I'm just gonna call it a gap right here or inversion gap. I just want to see this gap get tapped back into again. But like I said, we already inversed this gap, so it's like we don't really have to come back into it. That's why we changed the state. And you know, I don't really like to enter off just to change the state just entirely. But like I said, we already had three confluences. We already had three confluences, literally just telling me to go short. So that was pretty unfortunate. Um, this could have been the trade if I took it off the change of the state, stop above the swing high, and then literally just targeted London session lows. That did not happen, obviously, as you guys can freaking tell. So what I did is on ES. This was so retarded of me because I made this shit mistake again. This was so retarded. Like, now that I know it's in hindsight, it was a fucking mistake. We created an SMT from London session lows. Dog, bro, this is so bad. But I'm not really emotional. I'm like, damn, bro. But we created an SMT off London session lows. So, like I said in the beginning, right? I wanted some SMT to be formed for us to have the New York continuation. Because, like I said, I was bullish in the beginning. I was expecting a continuation, but I was willing to trade the manipulation, which would have been the leg down, because the manipulation would get good shorts if it introduces me a really good optimal setup for me to take. So like I said, I was willing to do shorts and longs. I fucked up on shorts. Here comes the long parts where I fucked up on. So anyways, in shorts, we ended up having our change of the state on Nasdaq. I mean on ES. I'm like, okay, we have a gap fill. Let's see if we fill in this gap. Mind you, we are already in this 5 minute bearish gap. I mean, yeah, we're in this 5 minute gap, but we already disrespected it. So I'm waiting for price to be like, okay, let's respect this. But I'm looking at Nasdaq. I'm like, okay, we are oddly going up. I think there's an SMT put in place. I didn't realize that, and then I entered, and then I entered like hold on, because we tapped in here. So my entry was literally right off the second candle right here. Because after we closed right here, my entry was like right here somewhere. My stop loss was literally like above this gap. No, it wasn't above this. It was right here. So I had a shit stop loss. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. And I was targeting something like this. I was also targeting like something lower over here, but this was like the main thing I could remember. Um, and then we created an SMT, and then I got stopped out, and I was like, yo, why the fuck did I just make the same mistake that I caught myself already doing twice already, like a while ago, and I stopped, and I was like, holy shit, this was the manipulation. Like now it's time for the actual like SMT to hold up, and then we'll go, and this is like the continuation part. So now I'm like readjusting my analysis. I'm like, okay, let's look back at what we did. Price came up. We created that SMT like I wanted to. I unfortunately missed the first setup, which ended up playing out, which was the manipulation leg. And on top of that, we created an SMT with London session lows, and now it's looking like we're gonna gun towards my other draws and liquidity. And I also wanted that which we call it. I also wanted previous day lows. I mean, not previous days. I also wanted previous day highs, which was all time highs. That's what I really wanted. Um, so with that, let's get into the 1 minute. This was poorly. This was actually good execution by me, actually, because I wanted. This was honestly just poor stop loss because I waited for everything to see that I want, and I got it. So what I wanted to see, right? We already have that SMT in place. The SMT is already breaking up. I mean, holding up. We already technically have our change in state right here from this low candle. Um, excuse me, but that's not really what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for, well, yeah, that is what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for this main gap to be inversed. We ended up inversing this gap. I was a bit hesitant to enter, I'm not going to lie. I did let hesitant I was letting emotion creep up to me today, I'm not going to lie, only just for the hesitation part with this long entry, I'm not going to lie, but I should have known this SMT was going to hold out softly. So what did I do? I waited. We ended up creating another gap. I was like, okay, let's retrace into one of these gaps, and then boom, I'll enter, and then you're probably saying, yo, what are you gonna target? My main draw was honestly previous day highs, not all time highs. My bad. Previous day highs, previous day highs, previous day highs. This was previous day highs. This is what I wanted because of this high time from SMT. That's literally what I wanted. I was like, okay. And I was honestly gonna come in with two minis. I'll probably take off like one mini or just go break even and just let the whole thing run, like when we got to the gap. And this was super bad, or this was just so bad because literally we ended up coming and retracing into the gap. I'm like, okay, we retraced. Let's find where ES retraced as well. Yeah, we retraced into this gap, right? We didn't really inverse, but we retraced into these gaps, and I'm like, okay, this is perfect for me, and I'm gonna long, and this wasn't the long, baby. I'm like, this was not the long. This was the long that could have happened, but this was not the long. This was the long. I entered literally right after we filled this perfectly, so I honestly got like the bottom entry of this. Yeah, I literally got the bottom entry of this, and my stop loss was super bad. I'm not going to lie. This was so bad. Where did I get stopped out at? Like right, yeah. My stop loss was super bad. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My stop loss was poor. Um, my stop loss was super poor. I'm not going to lie. Stop loss was super duper poor, and this was my drawn liquidity. Like I wanted previous day highs to be taken. I honestly would have went break even, or no, I would have went break even after we flipped this gap with displacement, but I would have took off a partial after we took out this SMT high that was holding up this whole thing. But anyways, you may be asking, why is your stop loss so bad? I'm not going to lie, I don't even have an answer for you. But I am genuinely admitting and I'm opening my eyes to see why this is bad, because one, this is not even below a swing low or anything. This is just below a gap. It's not even below the gap low. Because honestly, if I had pre-planned to do half of this gap, this would have been a very calm trade. Yes, we would have been stuck in drawdown for quite a bunch, for quite a little bit, honestly. And we honestly probably would have got stopped out at break even, because after we got this displacement, I would have moved my stops to break even. But um, what was I gonna say? But yeah, this was a very shitty shitty stop loss trade. I'm not going to lie. I ended up losing both times. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of triggered. I was not gonna revenge trade, obviously, and I was not gonna let myself get upset. So I low key but high key went to my bed and started doom scrolling for like not an hour. I fell asleep for like 30 minutes, but like I was low key like scrolling for like another 30 minutes as well. I'm not gonna. I don't know if you guys know that Squid Hoss and Arya beef. I don't know if that's fabricated or if that's literally legit, but that's like I just found out about that a couple days ago. That's actually so funny, but that's besides the point because I could care less about that. Freaking Arya's a multimillionaire. Squid is I don't know if Squid's even a millionaire, but you feel me? Those two men are doing their own thing, so why am I talking about other men when I'm trying to be a man doing my own thing? Point is, the point of this video is literally just to look at my past, to look at these trades, and I'm like, okay, one, one trade shouldn't have happened. Two, the second trade should have won because the bias was correct, but the stop loss was just really poorly executed. Obviously, you guys know which trade is which. This trade should have been the one that won. This trade shouldn't even have never even taken place because, like I said, we created an SMT. So why am I entering when there's an SMT there? And I didn't peep that until after I entered, and I'm like, damn, bro, do I just manually close the position? And I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a habit of like I just don't like manually closing positions. Like I know I could lose much less if I do that, but it's like people get into the habit of doing that, and they just do that whenever they have like emotion attached. And I just like when I set my stop loss and my take profit, I usually just let it ride because most of the time it's hitting take profit. Um, but I honestly noticed that my stop loss has really been pretty bad. So that's something I'm just gonna have to literally just like keep track of and just learning how to properly set a proper stop loss. And this trade just shouldn't even have been taken. Like, yeah, we had everything I wanted, but we had a prominent SMT opposing in the direction that I wanted price to continue going. Right? There was no reason for us to come down and take all London session lows because we really created this SMT. This SMT is protected, and like I said in the beginning, I don't even use daily profiles, but I know when a continuation is going to happen. And we had a London session reversal, and we were due for a continuation. So yeah, main story. I mean, main thing of the story is that um A plus setup didn't take, unfortunately would have been a really good trade, and then unfortunately the other A plus setup, which originally wasn't an A plus setup, it was just an A setup, could have honestly been taken, but it just wasn't taken. And for hindsight, how we could have honestly have taken this trade, we already have our change in the state, we already have our inversion gap. So what would be next would just be like one of these gap fills, right? So hypothetically, if I were to take it off the second gap fill or this first gap fill, and my stop loss was literally just properly adjusted, dog, boom, and then literally underneath this low, well, this low right here would be perfectly fine, and then from there, literally targeting previous day highs, because this was my main draw, like I said. You may be asking, why did you want previous day highs? Again, like I said, we have a high time from SMT put in. So when we have this high time from SMT put in, I want longs, bro. There's nothing else telling me I want longs. So honestly, I don't know. Maybe like one of my other problems was just like trading shorts. Like shorts were obviously the play here. Like the manipulation move was so clean. This was super clean. We had a change of state. We had our inversion gap. We had an SMC put in. Um, we also had a breaker block put in. So it was like boom, it was perfect. We also inversed this other gap, so it was literally perfect, dog. It was just damn. I unfortunately did not execute this move right. Obviously, I shouldn't have. First of all, I shouldn't even have even took a short when we took the low on E. When we took the low on Nasdaq, that was just kind of retarded for me. So this was just honestly like that was just dumb as is. Um, and then the long was just poorly positioned. But I hope you guys enjoy. I'm gonna literally go and enjoy my day because I'm not gonna let a loss beat me up. That's so retarded. Definitely gonna take this for account. Tomorrow we have CPI, so tomorrow I'm probably gonna trade with micros, dog. Actually, no, fuck it, bro. I'm gonna keep going with the minis because the numbers fluctuating me don't even really like. I don't even like see a difference with it, to be honest. The numbers fluctuating doesn't really like creep me emotionally. It's just like the poor positioning, but it's part of the game. So I know I'm gonna get it better tomorrow, so it's okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a long one. I don't expect anyone to watch this, to be honest. This is really just like my own personal like feedback of like what the fuck happened today. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys. Peace.